believe you're the only fighter who's fought both Islam Makhachev and Beneil Dariush, and they're of course fighting each other next month. So first and foremost, what did you think of that matchup getting put together with two guys that you've already competed against?
Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, for me personally, I think I got a lot of emotion in that fight. For one, Beneil and I are really close friends, and I always gun for him. And then, me suffering a loss to Islam, it adds a little bit more heat in that fight. But man, it's a good stylistic matchup too. They're both like very solid grapplers, and so once they choose to start grappling, I mean, it's going to be a physical art.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great. Were you and Dariush friends before the fight, or did that happen after?
Yeah, well, I've always been a fan of Beneil, and then I got scheduled to fight him, and then I was very excited for the opportunity, and then the moment we met, I mean, we vibed, and so we were friends before, during, and after.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's interesting. And, okay. So looking at this fight, I mean, Islam, obviously a favorite. I mean, a lot of people feel like he will be the next lightweight champion at some point. But the interesting thing with Dariush, very well rounded, right? Like he's got a ground game. It's not going to be like Dan Hooker, where, maybe the ground game's not his strong suit. How much of a factor will that be, the fact that Dariush is probably one of the most well-rounded guys in your division?
I think Beneil is going to give Islam the most problems. So it's a super tough fight for both guys. Mm-hmm. And, I think one of the cool things with Beneil is like his strategy and he implements a good strategy, and he's able to adjust the strategy, per round. And he's a finisher. Like he can put you away with his hands or a submission. Man, I'm super excited for this fight.
Where do you think Dariush is the most dangerous in this fight?
To be honest, I think he's equally dangerous everywhere.
Okay.
I think he can find a finish anywhere, and he can also, give Islam his game back to him, which is, lay on top. And so it's hard to call. I think the biggest takeaway personally in that is that Beneil's a risk taker, and Islam is not. Islam will do everything he can to win the long game. And Beneil, he takes risks, and sometimes it works out in his favor, and sometimes it doesn't. And so I think that's the deciding factor as far as Beneil's strategy and his risk-taking ability.
And would you say for Islam, the most dangerous factor in the fight would be sort of his wrestling and grappling in the fight, sort of holding you and, sort of you putting that pace on as well? What are sort of some of the strengths you see of Islam in this fight?
I think Islam's so fundamentally sound everywhere. So I think it's, he can stand and trade, he can wrestle. But I think we're going to see the same Islam that we've seen, numerous times. Now the key thing is what kind of Beneil is going to show up. Like, is it going to be a striker? Is it going to be a wrestler? Like, is it going to be like a hardcore jiu-jitsu match? Like, you don't know, but I feel like the determining factor is going to be Beneil's strategy.
I got to get the pick then. Who do you see winning that fight? Because again, Islam's the favorite, Dariush an underdog, but Dariush very well rounded. What's your pick in that fight? If I gave you $500, who are you putting your money on?
I mean, it's so hard. Like my heart, like here at home, like the wife and I, we're going for Beneil Dariush. Like we want him to win. Man, I'm behind him wholeheartedly. But as far as being a betting man, I mean, we see less mistakes from Islam, and so like Islam is the safest bet, but the heart's pulling for Beneil.
Okay, that's fair enough. And I think I know the answer to this, but I got to ask you anyways. Who is nicer to you after the fight, Islam or Beneil?
Beneil, for sure. I mean, to be honest, like after the fight, him and I FaceTimed his niece because it was her birthday. So we were in the green room after the fight, just talking to his family. I didn't get any attention from Islam.
Let's kick it off, jab, cross to the beat, beating you MMA, heat is the main course of the feast. Lynch on sports, the force, he's got his ears to the streets. Uppercutting with knowledge, shaking the brain with breakdowns of the game with that original flow. Head kicks with the pros, picks up the fights or anything in the mix.